Welcome to A Year of War and Peace. I'm your host, Brian E. Denton. A Year of War and Peace is a daily, year-long, chapter-by-chapter reading of and meditation on Leo Tolstoy's epic novel, War and Peace. In these videos and podcasts, you'll be treated to a free reading of one chapter per day of the novel, plus a reflective essay I've written individually tailored to that day's chapter. These readings are offered for free, though if you'd like to support me, you can do so in one of three ways. First, you could purchase my ebook, A Year of War and Peace. It features the entire novel, plus all of my reflective essays, and it's only $2.99 on Amazon.com. You could also become a patron at patreon.com/Brian E. Denton. If you sign up there, you'll receive a sonnet once a month, plus a link to an ebook of my collected sonnets. Finally, if you like, you can make a one-time donation to my PayPal account. The email there is brianedenton@gmail.com. You can also use that email to contact me. I'd be happy to hear from you. Your support is greatly appreciated. Today's reading and reflection is from Chapter 290. Chapter 290. In the early days of October, another envoy came to Kutuzov with a letter from Napoleon proposing peace, and falsely dated from Moscow, though Napoleon was already not far from Kutuzov on the old Kaluga road. Kutuzov replied to this letter as he had done to the one formerly brought by Lauriston, saying that there could be no question of peace. Soon after that, a report was received from Dokhorov's guerrilla detachment operating to the left of Tarutino that the troops of Brossier's division had been seen at Forminsk, and that being separated from the rest of the French army, they might easily be destroyed. The soldiers and officers again demanded action. Generals on the staff, excited by the memory of the easy victory at Tarutino, urged Kutuzov to carry out Dorokov's suggestion. Kutuzov did not consider any offensive necessary. The result was a compromise which was inevitable. A small detachment was sent to Forminsk to attack Brossier. By strange coincidence, this task, which turned out to be a most difficult and important one, was entrusted to Doktorov, the same modest little Doktorov whom no one had described to us as drawing up plans for battles, dashing about in front of regiments, showering crosses on batteries, and so on, and who was thought to be, and was spoken of, as undecided and undiscerning, but whom we find commanding wherever the position was most difficult, all through the Russo-French wars, from Austerlitz to the year 1813. At Austerlitz, he remained last, at the Ozgid Dam, rallying the regiments, saving what was possible when all were flying and perishing, and not a single general was left in the rear guard. Ill with fever, he went to Smolensk with 20,000 men to defend the town against Napoleon's whole army. In Smolensk, at the Malakhov Gate, he had hardly dozed off in a paroxysm of fever before he was awakened by the bombardment of the town, and Smolensk held out all day long. At the Battle of Borodino, when Bagration was killed and 9/10 of the men of our left flank had fallen, and the full force of the French artillery fire was directed against it, the man sent there was the same irresolute and undiscerning Doktorov. Kutuzov hastening to rectify a mistake he had made by sending someone else there first. And the quiet little Doktorov rode thither, and Borodino became the greatest glory of the Russian army. Many heroes have been described to us in verse and prose, but of Doktorov scarcely a word has been said. It was Doktorov again whom they sent to Forminsk, and from there to Malo-Yaroslavets, the place where the last battle with the French was fought, and where the obvious disintegration of the French army began. And we are told of many geniuses and heroes of that period of the campaign, but of Doktorov nothing, or very little, is said, and that dubiously. And this silence about Doktorov is the clearest testimony to his merit. It is natural for a man who does not understand the workings of a machine to imagine that a shaving that has fallen into it by chance and is interfering with its action and tossing about in it is its most important part. The man who does not understand the construction of the machine cannot conceive that the small connecting cogwheel which revolves quietly is one of the most essential parts of the machine, and not the shaving which merely harms or hinders its working. On the 10th of October, when Doktorov had gone halfway to Forminsk and stopped at the village of Rastovo, preparing faithfully to execute the orders he had received, the whole French army having, in its convulsive movement, reached Murat's position apparently in order to give battle, suddenly, without any reason, turned off to the left and onto the new Kaluga road and began to enter for Minsk, where only Brossier had been till then. At that time, Doktorov had under his command, besides Dorokov's detachment, the two small guerrilla detachments of Figner and Seslevin. On the evening of October 11th, Seslevin came to the Restovo headquarters with the French guardsmen he had captured. The prisoner said that the troops that had entered from Minsk that day were the vanguard of the whole army, that Napoleon was there, and the whole army had left Moscow 4 days previously. That same evening, a house serf who had come from Borovsk said that he had an immense army entering the town. Some Cossacks from Doktorov's detachment reported having sighted the French guards marching along the road to Borovsk. From all these reports, it was evident that where they had expected to meet a single division, there was now the whole French army marching from Moscow in an unexpected direction, along the Kaluga road. Doktorov was unwilling to undertake any action, as it was not clear to him how he ought to do so. He had been ordered to attack for Minsk, but only Brossier had been there at the time, and now the whole French army was there. Ermolov wished to act on his own judgment, but Doktorov insisted that he must have Kutuzov's instructions, so it was decided to send a dispatch to the staff. For this purpose, a capable officer, Bokhometov, was chosen, who was to explain the whole affair by word of mouth, besides delivering a written report. Toward midnight, Bokhometov, having received the dispatch and verbal instructions, galloped off to the general staff, accompanied by a Cossack with spare horses. All right, that concludes my reading of chapter 290. I will now proceed to my reflection on the same. A Year of War and Peace, day 290. Cogs. Nobody can name the boom operator of their favorite film. The same can be said about the key grip, the unit manager, and the swing gang. Chances are, most people do not even know what roles these individuals play in a film's production. Yet without their input, cinema would be a very poor product indeed. Part of the magic of movies is the emergence of a unified final product from the disparate cooperation among often noteless but noteworthy hands. General Doktorov is the boom operator of Russia's war against Napoleon. He's ever present, but never perceived. Faithful to the fight, yet forgotten by history. He plays a pivotal role in all the battles we've encountered so far. Austerlitz, Smolensk, and Borodino. Today he stands at Restovo, confronted by the entire French army. We won't stay long with Doktorov, but Doktorov should stay long with us. Let him serve as a reminder that even the humblest among us have a part to play, and that life's ineludible mutualism often demands unsung laborers. For, as Tolstoy writes today, the man who does not understand the construction of the machine cannot conceive that the small connecting cogwheel, which revolves quietly, is one of the most essential parts of the machine. Daily Meditation. For we are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. All right, thanks for listening. That concludes my reading of and reflection on chapter 290 of War and Peace. I hope you liked it. Remember that if you'd like to support me, you can do so either by purchasing the ebook Year of War and Peace, becoming a patron at patreon.com, or making a one-time donation to PayPal, or buying me a book or a movie from my Amazon wish list, which are all linked down in the description below. Your support is greatly appreciated. Tomorrow we're going to be reading and reflecting on chapter 291 of War and Peace. I hope you'll join me. Until then, take care of yourselves and others.